Hello, people! I don't know if any of you remember this young man. I've been following this case since its start. This guy is basically a flash cash trader. Navinder Singh Sarai loses US extradition. So he was charged in about April 2015, I think, in relation to flash cash trading. So basically, I don't know, whatever he's doing, he's online, he's trading with currencies or whatever, and they're going up, they're going down, and somehow he's manipulated that system, pissed someone off, that someone's gone after him, which is fine. But the problem is the crime apparently took place on an American stock exchange, and this poor chap has the unfortunate luck of living in the UK. So the US government says, "Hey, UK government, can we have this citizen of yours because we have an extradition treaty with you?" And the UK government said, "Why not? Go on then." Bail, from memory, his bond, which we don't give bonds for money in the UK normally. It's very much an American thing. So something I actually spoke to a cop about, which is a very funny conversation, but I won't go into that. But I said, how can you have a bail set of 5 million? He says, "Oh, we don't set bonds for money in England." So because he was under American jurisdiction, the judge in the case in England on behalf of the American authorities was allowed to put the bond at £5 million for this chap, which obviously he couldn't immediately afford because the United States has frozen all his assets. So he's absolutely like, well, I've probably got the money if I could get to it, but he couldn't get to it, so therefore he went straight to Wandsworth prison, and he spent a lot of time there. While pending trial, I think it's about 4 to 5 months in prison. And then obviously his trial came up and he went through the whole razzmatazz of that. And eventually he loses his extradition case after spending loads of cash on lovely lawyers and people like that, barristers, and gets his ass sent to America. Hey ho, he's gone to America. And I've just found this document. Anyway, you can look at it yourself. I think it says Pacer or something equivalent. I don't know. Justice.gov, whatever. So on page 33, point 33, which would be something that this young man would be very suspicious of.
Hello.
That'll do from him. He's on YouTube. By all means, have a look. Yeah. So the defendant and all that nonsense, right? So 33. Should the judge refuse to accept? So it's a plea deal, basically. It's a guilty plea. So if the judge, even though we've come up with this contract that you can plead in front of the judge, should the judge refuse this contract of a guilty plea, this agreement shall become null and void, and neither party will be bound to it. So it's kind of an agreement based on the judge's approval. If the judge doesn't approve, then it doesn't go anywhere. Defendant and his attorney acknowledges that no threats, promises, or representations have been made, nor agreements reached, other than those set forth in this agreement, to cause the defendant to plead guilty. So it's kind of like a liability clause, if you like, it's saying this is your own free will to do this. Defendant acknowledges that he has read the agreement carefully. Capital A on the agreement, guys, and reviewed each provision with his attorney. Defendant further acknowledges that he understands and voluntarily accepts each and every term and condition in this agreement. Date it. They got you to sign. So the whole arrest and imprisonment thing and trial and nonsense, it was literally to get you to this point where you signed a confession, right? So well done. And this is Andrew Weissman is the guy who brought the case. It looks like he seems like the principal chap. And Benjamin Singer is the deputy chief. I don't know what that means. A deputy chief of what? Or just a deputy chief, assistant chief, and you got the trial attorney. And then you got the attorney who's representing the defendant, and the defendant is being played by this chap. Brilliant. So anyway, that's basically a plea deal. You could have gone to trial, but you didn't go to trial. We're going to explore that now with a lovely film I came across on the internet, which actually I watched when I came across it. I thought, wow, this is really good. So we're going to go. We're not going to watch the film, obviously. It's far too long. I would highly recommend that you go and watch it. And the film in question, yes, this is the guy. And the film in question is Criminal Justice. There it is, 1990. A fantastic movie if you've got an interest in the law. Now, this is very much a film about the legal system, okay? But the legal system has to operate within the bounds of the law, okay? The law. You can't subvert the law. Okay, you can create your own legal system, legal rules, it doesn't have to be legal. It could be any kind of rules and system, like the Boy Scouts code, the fisherman's rules, all kinds of whatever it is, whatever society, bowling club rules, yeah, whatever society you're in, they'll have rules, and you can't make rules that in any way impede upon the law, essentially, because it would essentially become an unlawful. You can't subvert the law; it's unlawful. So the legal society has to build its frame, if you like, over the foundations of the law. And this movie is really good. It's got hang on, I wrote the names down. It's Forrest, isn't it? Forrest Whitaker, who was in the Last King of Scotland and won an Oscar for that. Is it awesome? Awesome. I didn't know he'd been acting for so long. I first came across him in the movie Species, and the Last King of Scotland was such a good performance. And this is the victim. So I'll just give you a look. Basically, she gets attacked in an alleyway, doesn't know what did it, got cut in the face, and she picks this guy out in photos, and then also in a lineup, and that basically sets off the chain of events that gets him. Whether he's done it or not, I don't know. And to be fair, you should watch. I'm not going to try not to spoil it for you too much, but definitely go out, hire, rent, Netflix, I don't know, whatever you can do with this movie. But I'm just going to do some little snippets, which are really clever, because the guy who's written this movie, let me just find his name, this guy, Andy Walk. Really, really cleverly written movie. Now, I know it's just a movie, but you have to appreciate that a movie is condensing a whole period of time into an hour and a half movie, let's just say, Because if you look at this guy, I mean, he was arrested one day. He was held in prison for 4 or 5 months. Then he goes through all the trial malarkey, and then after just about a year, I think it was. He then gets his decision that he's going to America, and then he goes to America, and then he's going through all that nonsense, and then he's got to go through trial again and all that. So, I mean, you're probably looking at a 2-year period that this nonsense has been going on for him. So, it's a hell of a lot easier for me just to condense down the key points of a movie, which is an hour and a half, which has already been condensed. So I'm just condensing down something that's already been condensed. Okay, because this guy obviously gets arrested, put in prison, has to go through bail, and all that stuff. So that's all been kind of condensed down massively. But in reality, it could have been anything up to a year of messing around with trial dates while they're trying to sort things out. And yeah, I'm not going to go through this, but if you want to freeze your YouTube video and just have a little read. This guy is an outstanding writer, and in order to write well, you have to have studied well. And he's studied into the Royal Shakespeare, not the Royal Shakespeare Company, but he's done a lot of Shakespearean plays and acting. So I would presume that Andy Walk, the writer and director, so he's done both jobs. That's pretty talented, and also he knows his language. All right. Now, I don't know how he's got such an insight into the legal system. I honestly have no idea. I was hoping to find in his history that he was training as a lawyer, or how he's come across such an accurate depiction of the legal process, or the federal legal process that goes on with serious breaches of the peace. But I didn't find anything. But I mean, if you know him, ask him. But hey, he's done such a fantastic job. Now, I know some people will be saying, hey, you're examining a movie. Okay, but a movie has to be written. And this is a movie. It is presumably a fictional piece, but it's based closely on reality, all right, and actual systems that are in place. Okay, it's not like we're going to mimic the law process on planet Pluto. We can't. We don't know what it's like, and no one would believe it. No one would watch it. This film would never get made. Okay, so this is why he's very closely representing the system of law that was in place in and around the time of the 1990s, possibly a bit before. So let's go through it. I've got minutes that we're going to go through, and it should be good. So we're going to start somewhere at the beginning, about 5:40. I've gone through the timelines just to save you a bit of hassle, and hopefully save your time. Right, 5:40. So just around here. So she's got a plaster on her face. She's been cut. She's gone to the cops, and the cops are like, right, look through all these pictures. Let's find the bad guy. Let's nail him out.
Where is he? He's not in here. I'm tired, man.
Come on, Denise.
So she's going through all the photos. She can't find them, and then they give her one last box, and she goes through it, and then she finally picks out, lo and behold, Forrest Whitaker. And now, let's just say, things start going wrong for him. Now, when you pick out someone, that's fine, you picked out, and you've got to kind of think about what the nature and the circumstances of A, the crime, but B, who's reporting it from the police's point of view. They've got to be very careful about, okay, I it's not that I don't believe you, but, we have to be very careful, because if we go start invading people's lives and picking them up and chucking them in prison, then we can get done for false imprisonment. So in this case, an interesting point that's, I don't know if it's intentionally highlighted by the film, is that they've got a crack-smoking, alleyway, glue-sniffing, whatever you want to call it, questionable person who maybe not be of the cream of society. Now, she's picked out this photo with no witnesses, no kind of murder weapon, or not murder in this case, but no weapon, in a dark alley at night time, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, all right, so this guy's been picked out, she reckons it's him, and she got attacked from behind, so she's picking him out. Now, the interesting thing is, if we go to 6:49,
Wait a minute.
oh, that's that, and then we go to 9:07, so now the cops have got a lead, all right? So now the cop's got a lead. He goes, right, oh, we know this guy, because obviously he's been arrested before for some sort of conviction, misdemeanor, whatever you want to call it. He's crossed paths with the law before, so they've got him on file.
Fucking Scott.
Hey, man, I didn't cut nobody.
Hey, nobody said you did, Jesse.
Are you arresting me? Because I didn't do nothing.
Are you arresting me because I didn't do anything? So the cop's been clever enough not just to go down and arrest this guy on the word of one woman, right? Whether it be one man, one woman, because you can't have. There's not really a case. You've got to have more than just no witnesses. Yeah, you've got to have witnesses to the crime. So he's gone down and having a casual chat with this guy, which is quite often happens and is the case. They're trying to tell you what's going on, get you some agreement, and what would it be unreasonable for you to come down to the police department?
Relax, Jesse, all right? Don't get so uptight. Now, we just want to ask you some questions to get you back home. The lieutenant said we should do it down at the precinct. I told him it was bullshit.
It is bullshit.
Then you got nothing to worry about.
Ta-da! See, they're just playing a nice little cop game, aren't they? They're going to get you in, they're going to tell you, look, we're not going to arrest you, mate. That'd be stupid. Well, I'm not that stupid, but we want you to calm down because, we've got some serious questions we want to ask you. And if it is bullshit, then it's bullshit, buddy. You just tell us that and then we'll be on our way. Nothing bad will happen. Yeah, right. Okay, then we're moving on. So 12:48 now. Okay, so he gets taken down to the police department, and obviously they're grilling him with a load of questions. What are you doing? Where were you? Blah blah blah.
Nothing. I don't got nothing to lose.
Then she goes to a lineup. Do any of you remember a lineup? I hope you remember lineups. In my local town, you used to be able to, if you're like under 16 or 16 or 18 or maybe 20, and the cops you could queue outside the police department and they would just call you in to do lineups. You get paid 10, 20 bucks, whatever. I mean, that's back in the day. I don't know if they're still doing it nowadays. I'd hope they are, but this is kind of a positive way of IDing someone in a lineup. So you've seen the picture, but let's get the lineup. Because let's say he wasn't a criminal, didn't have a criminal past, then they wouldn't have got him. But let's say they arrested some guys who were in the area that night or something. They'd line them up and say, right, what's going on? Here they are. Take your pick.
I'm not doing this if he could see me, all right?
It's a two-way mirror, Denise. He can't see you, I promise. Okay, now there are 5 people in there. Take as long as you like. See if you can identify the man who robbed and cut you. But remember, you gotta be absolutely sure. He may not even be there.
If he's there, do I have to testify?
At the grand jury, yes. Then they'll indict him, and chances are he'll plead guilty, and you'll never even have to see him.
So there we go. So she looks at the lineup, she goes through one at a time,
Is he there, Denise?
and she obviously picks him out, number 4.
Whoever this guy is,
See, what I'd like you to notice, this guy, number 4, he actually, as his character in the movie, he complains about the lineup being a load of rubbish, with a load of street hoodlums, like people from Homeless. They look nothing like me. So that's his, like, that's kind of running the movie a little bit. But, you know, that's in his
whoever
mind.
this guy is, Denise, he's an animal, and he belongs in jail.
You know, so it's a nice little red herring that they give you, and the guy sticks with, and they use that against him in the movie. So let's move on. So now, she's done the lineup, she IDs him basically, and now he's in. Now I think he gets immediately arrested. Actually, does he get immediately arrested? Yeah, look, yeah, he gets arrested.
Before speaking.
Off you go, and when you get arrested, where do you go? You got it. You go straight to jail, buddy. They think they've got enough evidence now. They've got a positive photo match from the pictures, and they've got a positive line out ID, so they're going to arrest him now. We need to get to 1858. So he's in prison. He's going to be await to be dragged up in front of the judge, be arraigned. But in the meantime, where's my phone call?
Am I going home today?
So first thing it says is, am I going home today? So this guy is a legal aid attorney, which is quite funny because that term's not changed. They still get legal aid, I believe, in both England and in the Americas. So there we are. He's a state-sponsored lawyer who assists people who are obviously skint, who can't obviously afford to be in their system without financial aid. So in order to contract or have them act in that arena, they need an appropriate person. And here he is. Hello there. How you doing? I'm here to really help you.
Jesse, my name is David Ringel. I'm an attorney with legal aid. I'm here to represent you. Before we do
Am I
anything,
going home today?
I'm going to do my damnedest to get you out of here. But first, I got to tell you what you're being charged with. All right? Now, they're saying that on November the 11th, 1989, at 2 a.m. in the lobby of 229 Kingman, that you displayed a knife to Denise Moore, and you took from her a sum of money and some jewelry, a necklace.
Oh, man, it's bullshit. I didn't do that.
And that you slashed her across the face, causing a cut that required 63 stitches. Now, they're charging you with assault in the first degree and robbery in the first degree, both felonies. Now, do you know Denise Moore?
No, man. She's probably some crackhead.
Why do you say that?
Because I know 229 Kingman.
It's a spot.
Oh, yeah, no question.
You cop there?
Man, I live in a fucking neighborhood. I don't do that shit, all right?
Okay. All right. Now, where were you on November 11th at 2 a.m.?
I was home in bed.
Who else was there with you?
My mom, my kid. Are they outside waiting for me?
We'll check when we're through. Now, what did you do that night?
We had Chinese food. We sat around watching TV.
What did you watch?
Some Charles Bronson movie.
Now, did
So obviously the lawyer's fact-finding, trying to get evidence, presumably for his defence, let's just say.
you go out at all during the evening?
Just to pick up the Chinese. That was at 7:30, right? I was in the rest of the night.
Okay. What about your son's mother? Where is she?
Drug rehab upstate.
See, when you think about it, is there any real difference between talking to this lawyer who's state-sponsored and speaking to a cop who's state-sponsored? Is there any real difference?
On my way home. I tell them I ain't done. They ask me, more guys shit.
What did you say?
I told them they got their head up their ass, and I got nothing more to say. Mr. Gringle, am I getting out of here?
It's Ringle. Ringle. If it were up to me, Jesse, you would be going home today. But I'm not the fucking judge, all right?
So he's trying to assert some control, some authority over this guy while being kind and taking a good ear and listening to him. It's very good. I mean, a real life judge or a real life solicitor or lawyer is just an actor. So watching this isn't so far. I mean, this is an actor playing a lawyer. Okay, so it's a man who's an actor who's then playing a lawyer. Okay, and in reality, it's just a man who's acting as a lawyer. Okay, there's only one level more in this.
Right, now, did you finish your parole?
Yeah, I'll finish.
So things like that. Have you finished your parole, or have you got any outstanding conditions of being released in the community?
Are you working now?
No, I start next week at the service station. What are you looking at my sheet for? What's my record got to do with anything, man? I didn't do nothing.
Yeah, what's my record got to do with anything? That's actually a good point, because the idea is once you've done a crime and you've served the time, I'm pretty sure your record couldn't be used against you again. But apparently in this system it is, and even in the local magistrates court in England, it's like, oh, in 2001 he farted at a police officer. It's like, well, what's that got to do today? You know, and in the old days you wouldn't be able to use your record against you because you've paid the debt to society by going to prison or even paying the debt. So to look back at that as if there's still a debt outstanding, it's like, well, we'd give him a mortgage, but back in 2006 he took out a loan and, oh yeah, he missed one payment. It's like, yeah, but the debt's settled, so what's your issue? Oh, but you missed one payment. It's kind of like irrelevant. You're just using something to improve your bargaining tools. You know, it's like a bargaining chip.
Just because some base-head host said I did something don't mean I did it.
Jesse, the judge and the DA are looking at your sheet, all right? They're going to use it as part of your bail application. Now, you don't want the only schmuck in there not knowing what's being talked about to be your own attorney, do you?
No, I won't.
Good. Look, Jesse, the only person I care about here is you. I don't give a shit about Denise Smart. I give a shit about the judge or the DA.
This is where he sinks in the commitment, the loyalty. He builds up a bond of trust here.
They're not my fucking clients. So if there was anything that you know about this, now is a good time to tell me.
Mr. Wrinkle, I can't tell.
It's Ringle. Ringle, look. Take my card.
Ringle. Mr. Ringle, I can't tell you nothing. I wasn't there.
Okay, I believe you.
Ta-da! Okay, I believe you. That's an important little scene there, because how many times does that happen to people, man? I bet that happens, you'll find out it happens daily, this kind of stuff. But whether or not he's done it or not, in the movie, it's kind of immaterial whether he's done it or not, actually, which is quite nice. So Meet the Lawyer, 1858, we've done that one. Yeah, we'll keep going. Go straight in.
Up, I'm going to do my spiel, all right? So
he's going to do his spiel. He's going to go up there and do a good song and a dance. So this is the courtroom now. So there's one case before he's brought up from the bail prison or the jail, and this is his mum.
Confused medical.
And he's waiting in the box.
But Judge, at the precinct, she told him she didn't want to prosecute.
Well, how about it, Mr. Crosley?
Order of protection.
So you got the state prosecutor, and this is the state legal aid attorney. Okay, so he's just, they don't even need to change seats, really.
Jesse Williams, step out. Jesse Williams charged with violating Penal Law 160.15 and 120.10 on the...
Right, what? Did you not notice the code? Did that slip past you? What? Code 19... What? What? What have I done?
Complaint of Denise Moore. Counselor, waive the reading.
Complaint of Denise Moore?
Waived.
Let me hear you, Mr. Crosley, on the question of bail.
Your Honor, this is a very strong case. The complainant was robbed at knife point, slashed across the face. She received 63 stitches and spent 5 days in the hospital.
How is... Right, okay, that guy's just gone through the facts, but there's no strong case. All right, yeah, okay, the crimes happen. But as to finding the perpetrator of the crime, he's just stating the causes of the crime, not anything to do with who actually did it. And now he's going to explain the case as to why he believes this guy can be strong. It's a strong case, and this guy can be prosecuted.
Now, she picked out the defendant's photo and positively ID'd him in a lineup.
That's it. She picked up a photo and positively ID'd him in the lineup because she's already seen the photo of him. So,
looking at his record, I see that he's been upstate.
And this is where they can bring in your record as a razzmatazz.
So he's facing substantial amount of time and has a lot of incentive not to return to court. Also, Your Honor.
Oh, you see, now they're going to use that against you, just to stop you getting bail and keep your bum in a seat on a prison cell.
The Criminal Justice Agency was unable to verify the defendant's community ties. Therefore, the people are requesting bail of $10,000.
Mr. Ringel?
First, Judge, the only reason the CJA couldn't confirm Mr. Williams' community ties is because his mother, who was sitting in the second row, has been here in court for the last 2 days. Now, she has verified all the information, including the fact that Mr. Williams is about to start a job at a service station.
Yeah, I'll start next.
Crucial bit there. The judge is not interested in the man in the court. The judge is here to speak to his representative. Yeah? And this is a good little bit in the movie. As soon as this guy tries to speak for himself or act as himself, shh, don't, no, mate, this is a game going on here, mate. What are you doing?
Further, Judge, I think that what is most significant about Mr. Williams' sheet is that never, not once, did he bench warrant. He makes all of his court appearances. Now, as to the lineup, I'm sure that Mr. Crossley here will confirm that my client went down to the precinct voluntarily and cooperated fully.
Is that right?
Yeah, they didn't even tell me.
Again, he's saying, don't speak. You're not here to speak. You're here just to sit down and be a good little boy.
It appears so.
Look, Judge, I'm not going to minimize the crime, but you have to remember that it's a one-witness ID case. It takes place at night in a dark hallway. Now, the woman gets cut near the eye, so obviously there's an impact on her ability to identify an assailant. Plus, Your Honor, 229 Kingman is a crack spot. So I think that it's a fair inference that anybody there at 2 a.m. is buying crack. So there will be serious questions as to the complainant's credibility and whether or not she made a mistake here.
Bing bong. Perfect. Perfect. He highlighted something earlier on about the a one-witness case. But the witness is the case. Understand? I'm going to get a picture of the lawyer that he's next to. But anyway, the lawyer, there's 2 lawyers standing up there, and they're calling the victim as a witness in her own case.
In a dark hallway. Now, the woman gets cut near the eye, so obviously there's an impact on her ability to identify an assailant. Plus, Your Honor, 229 Kingman is a crack spot. So I think that it's a fair inference that anybody there at 2 a.m. is buying crack.
So yeah, he's trying to diminish her standing as a reliable source of information.
So there will be serious questions as to the complainant's credibility and whether or not she made a mistake here. So, Judge, given that Mr. Williams has never bench warranted, I think that what's appropriate here is for him to be released on his own recognizance.
Never benched warranted. I don't know what that means, but presumably he's never turned up. He's never not turned up when he's been when there's been a warrant out from him. If he's been summoned, he always appears, as you should do. If someone's summoning you, you have to appear. Otherwise, they'll send out they'll put an arrest warrant and the cops will bring you in. So accept your invitations. Conditionally or otherwise.
Sorry, Counselor. No ROR.
I think ROR is return on... released on remand. I think that's as close as I can get it to.
I'm setting bail at $5,000 bond or $2,500 cash alternative. I assume you want the 180 day?
Yes, Judge.
Interesting response there, like, yes, Judge. Like he's the little boy trying to answer the judge's authority there. It's quite like he has no other. He was never ever going to say anything but yes, Judge.
Be December 4th, AP1. Next case.
Carl Peterson, step.
Okay, so that's done. Now I went to remand. So remand is Frenchy. Remander. Send for again. Late Latin. To send back word. Repeat a command. So you're commanded to a recommand. Remander. So repeat a command. Like a reminder in that respect. How will you say reminder? which in Latin, mandare. I don't know, I've not done Latin. But I just put done on my Italian accent when I do it. Where are we? Criminal justice. So back to here. So we've done that bit. Where are we up to? 28. So we're going up to 32.55. 32.55. Somewhere here. Let's go there. That's the origins of Ally McBeal there. So prison. So again, he just sits in a jail cell, much like this guy was sitting in a jail cell, while he's relying on lawyers to sort out their problems. And obviously, lawyers can be quick, they can be slow, and it all based around the court's time. So yeah, sit in a prison cell while you sweat it out.
Bring. Susie, how you doing?
They're making an offer on you.
So this could have been 3 months. This could have been 6 months. Some cases, this could be almost a year. Sometimes more, where you're waiting for trial. They can just delay the trial as long as. So this is why it's nice. It's gone from one scene to the next. In a movie context, they can't. There's no concept of time here. But this could have been a massive amount of time, which is why it's good to use the movie to just go from one stage to the next.
Attempted robbery in the second degree, 3 to 6 years.
Hey, man, I'm gonna go on upstate for something I didn't do.
Okay, I'll just put some context to this. Okay, so because the case itself is weak, right? The case is weak, but the business system that's in place here, the lawyer, prosecutor, the lawyer, defendant, they're like, well, what's the likelihood of us getting a conviction here, and what's the likelihood of being successful at trial? Because trial is always a bit of a gamble, because you're going to put it in before the people, and the people can come up with any hocus pocus that they want, which is always a risk to continuity. So this guy's obviously been offered a deal. The lawyer here has been offered a deal, and he's bringing that deal down into the prison cell. So even though he believes him that he doesn't do it, which he said in the previous scene, and the questionable strength of the case, the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney have obviously been in cahoots maybe? They've had a chat about what they're going to do about this.
Susie, how you doing?
They're making an offer on your case. Attempted robbery in the second degree, 3 to 6 years.
Hey, man, I'm gonna go on upstate for something I didn't do.
Well, I'm not saying that you should. I just gotta make you understand what you're facing. Now, you're a predicate felon, and that means that the minimum on the robbery is 4.5 to 9. The max is 12.5 to 25. Now, the max on the assault is 7.5 to 15.
So even though he believes him that he didn't do it, he's given him the full breakdown of the charges against him. And they're saying, look, there's potentially a deal we can do here, but the max is this if you go to trial and you lose. So it's kind of like, let me stamp on your foot now, because if you go to trial, you might lose your leg, or you might go free. But that's obviously a gamble. If you believe it's a gamble, it might be a gamble. And that's essentially what he's trying to do. He's trying to sow the seeds in this guy, trying to give him doubt, regardless of whether he's done it or not. He's saying, look, whether you've done it or not, who knows what the jury will think. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to offer you a nice, juicy worm of a deal.
Hey, man, I know the numbers. Are you on my side or what?
Yes, I'm on your side. But I wasn't there at 229 Kingman. I don't know what happened. But I do know this. If you're guilty, you should probably jump all over this.
How many times I gotta tell you this? I wasn't there either.
Okay.
I love that. I wasn't there. You said you're believing me, and I'm telling you, mate. Yeah, whatever. Let me crack on with what I've got to do.
Okay, you're not interested.
No, I'm not.
In the meantime, the DA has until the end of the day to get an in.
He's probably like, oh shit, I'm not going to get a quick paycheck for this one. I've got to go all the way to trial. I've got to prepare a case. I've got to get, all the witnesses. I've got to do. Oh, fuck. He's probably thinking, damn, I was hoping for a quick fix.
Indictment on you. If he doesn't,
Why wouldn't he get an indictment on me?
I said the complainant doesn't show. Maybe she gets sick. Maybe she gets hit by a bus.
Maybe she decides to drop the charges.
Maybe. But Jesse, that's not the end of the case. It just means you get to go home. The DA still has 6 months to go back to the grand jury and get an indictment.
I want to go to the grand jury. I want to go to the grand jury and tell them I want.
Jesse, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure you can go to the grand jury Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can go to the grand jury and plead the facts of the case. I'm pretty sure about that. I was reading the Federal Grand Jury Handbook. Had some details about that kind of stuff.
Because a grand jury is a DA's ballgame. He can get them to indict a cheese sandwich if he wants.
Yeah, you can. I read an article, quite a good article, about when people tend to present a case to the grand juries. Most of the time, they'll agree it. So the grand jury is supposed to scrutinise cases and make sure that only legitimate cases get followed through and frivolous matters are sent away. But most of the time, the evidence and the story and the facts all stack up, and the grand jury thinks, well, this is enough for us to answer it. Let's get a warrant out for the arrest, or let's take this to trial. So the report that I was reading out basically says, a grand jury pretty much 9 times out of 10 grants the warrant or the indictment.
Because your mother saying that you were home asleep ain't gonna change their minds. You gotta remember, I'm not gonna be in the grand jury. It's not a trial. I can't cross-examine the girl. And they'll listen to her if she comes in.
If she comes in.
Right.
Right.
And if she does, they'll look at her scar and they'll leave any questions about your guilt or innocence to a trial jury.
But I got an alibi.
Which I do not want you to lay out to the DA. You just give her 6 months to get ready to rip it apart, plus it locks you into a defense.
What you mean by that?
Well, I mean, in 2 weeks you may come to me and tell me that Denise Moore was your girlfriend and you had a fight. She came to you for money to buy crack, you refused, then she came at you with a knife, and in the struggle she got cut.
I'm not gonna tell you that.
Yeah, but Jesse, defenses change.
What if the grand jury believes me?
Then they'll vote no true bill, the case will be dismissed, and you'll go home.
That's exactly right. It has to be a true bill or not true bill. That's a bit Shakespearean, isn't it? To be or not to be. True bill or not true bill. So that's basically what the grand jury has to do. And they used to write it on the back of the writ. So the writ would be, true bill or not true bill. So if it's not a true bill, then, on your way. So this guy's really kind of trying to get him not to think about going to the grand jury. It's quite an interesting tactic. Now that I'm watching it again, I'm seeing the lawyers like, oh, no, you don't want to go there, mate. They'll see the score and they'll stitch you up. But just because the jury's, if you're a jury man and you're sitting on a jury, I could see a blown up whatever, building, anything. And I'm like, what? So why is this guy here to answer for this crime? Where's the, there's elements of a case. A case has to stand. Yeah, the case has to stand on its own legs, if you like. It's often referred to as the four legs of a table, where you have witnesses, weapons, motive, and the body. Yeah, like the injured party, the body. Where's the body that's been injured? I'll go through that in a minute.
And then you can say to me, I told you so. Jesse, it's your call. But it's my job to advise you. And my advice to you is that it would be a big fucking mistake to put this alibi into the grand jury. But you gotta decide now.
Fucking, that's pretty brutal to say that to someone. Yeah, don't tell the truth to the grand jury, you'll get stitched up. What kind of world do we live in? Yeah, but make a plea bargain, mate. I advise you to plea it out, because then,
What do you want to do?
You're my lawyer.
Holy crap shits. Yeah, I mean, that happens every day, no doubt, around the world, so congratulations, world. Now, I think that's that scene done. Where are we up to? 35:43? 36:43, so about a minute. Here we go, this is good.
Ms. Moore.
So this is the actual grand jury now. There should be 25 people here. They're looking at the merits of the case. She's presenting it to them, and they're going to make a decision.
Let me direct your attention to November 11th, 1989 at 2 a.m. Where were you at that time?
229 Kingman Street.
In Kings County?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Ms. Moore, please describe in substance what, if anything, happened at that time.
I went into 229 to visit my friend Anthony, but he wasn't home. On my way out of the building, I got grabbed and thrown up against the wall. This guy, he had a big knife. He robbed me and he slashed my face. Gave me 63 stitches. And he told me, If I ever talked about it, he'd kill me.
What did he take?
$50 in my gold chain. Ripped it right off my neck.
Ms. Moore, approximately how close to him were you through this incident?
About this close.
Now, Ms. Moore, let me direct your attention to November 28th, 1989 at 5 p.m. Did you view a lineup on that date?
Yeah, I did.
Did you recognize anyone in the lineup?
Yes.
So in the back there, they've got a recorder who's recording all the minutes. Now this chap, I'd like to know what this chap's role was, if he's actually the foreman of the foreperson or the foreman of the jury, or if he's actually a clerk or a justice, some sort of justice of the peace. I'm not entirely sure. That would be nice to know.
Number 4.
Did you later learn number 4's name?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
Jesse Williams.
Ms. Moore, where did you recognize Jesse Williams from?
He's the one that slashed my face up and robbed me. That's who he is.
Thank you. You may step down, Ms. Moore. To those I've asked.
I remind you, you're still under oath.
Ms. Moore, at any time on the evening in question, did you use crack or any other drug?
What? No, I did not.
Thank you. You may step down.
All in favor of returning an indictment on count 1, robbery in the first degree, raise your hand.
So there we are. This is how the grand jury essentially works.
All in favor of returning an indictment on count 2, assault in the first degree, raise your hand.
Okay. So I think he's probably the foreperson of the jury, foreman of the jury.
So you see, that's what I'm trying to explain.
Right, where we go now. We are 40 minutes in. Yeah, 40, 45.
What is the people's offer?
So this is it. So this is the offers now. This is the deals, kind of behind closed doors, but in the open. At least the parties aren't in court. It's just the representatives having a nice little chinwag with the judge about like what we're going to do about this one, because this guy's sticking to his guns as being not guilty. He wasn't there, and so it's going to have to go to trial. And in a trial, the jury might say, "Well, I'm looking at the evidence here. It's all a load of nonsense." So there's a risk on both sides, the prosecution and the defence side. It's like, well, anything could happen now. So with that kind of stance that the defendant, the guy in prison, is taking, is like, well, yeah, this could not go the way that we want it, and if it doesn't go the way we want it, then he spent all this time already in prison. You know what I mean? He's in prison while this is going on. The bill is running. You know, the meter in the taxi's running. Don't think that he's not due compensation for sitting in a cell all this time. Let's see what happens.
For Ms. Carter.
The offer is 3 to 6, Judge.
Girl had 63 stitches, Mr. Ringle. Seems like you're being given a gift here.
Offer, right? Offer. We're now talking contract terms, okay? Offer. Hey, I offer you this apple. I'll take the apple. No. I offer you this apple at £5. Oh, I don't want the apple, thank you. You know, so we've gone into contract terms here. So this is why we say we'll contract with him to plead guilty, and if he pleads guilty and saves the state the time, the money, the resources, then we'll give him, 3 to 6?
If he's guilty, Your Honor. He says he didn't do it.
See, he's sticking to his gun. I said, look, man, the guy's adamant he hasn't done it. So, you know, just have to get all the way to trial. That's what I've been. Look, I don't believe that they don't know that he's been trying to convince him to plea deal out.
Let me speak to him. Step down, please.
Well, the judge actually wants to speak to the
Mr.
man.
Williams, I certainly don't want any innocent...
So remember before he was stopping him from speaking to the judge, and now the judge is actually going to speak to him directly. This is interesting.
people going to jail. But I want you to understand something. You're charged with a particularly nasty robbery and assault.
The district attorney's offering 3 to 6 years, and I'm willing to go along with that offer. Not because I think that's what the case is worth, but because last year there were over 14,000 indictments right here in Brooklyn alone. I have over 50 cases on my calendar today. Our city jails are filled to 110% of capacity. A federal judge is threatening to set inmates free. That's why you're being offered this plea. If you didn't commit the crime, sir, you should turn down the offer and go to trial.
There we are. He's telling him. The judge is saying, look, if you didn't do it, turn this offer down. That's the right thing to do. You shouldn't accept an offer if you didn't do it.
But bear this in mind. If you're convicted after trial, you'll be sentenced to what this case is worth. And that, sir, trust me, is not 3 to 6.
Which is good. He's warning him, but he's not threatening him. Trust me, sir, it's more than 3 to 6. Yeah. So he's not saying if you don't accept 3 to 6 now, you're gonna get something like 12 to 15 in trial, buddy. He's not doing that kind of ultimatum extortative words, if there's such a word as that. So he's being very concise in saying, trust me, sir, you won't be getting 3 to 6 if you're found guilty after the jury's rendered its verdict. I'll be forced to throw the book at you, and the book says, whatever, a million years, whatever.
I don't really think they don't want to go to trial. He's not interested in 3 to 6, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, you want a trial, you're going to get one.
So, yeah, he spoke to him man to man there almost, but he had to answer back through the lawyer. That's interesting.
I'm marking this 3 to 6, not to be reoffered and sending it to a trial part. Good day, sir.
Good day to you.
Guess where he goes? Back to prison. So, they've got to get the jury, they've got to do all kinds of nonsense, fix the trial dates, witnesses, in a normal case, you've got to get the witnesses, the police officers, everyone's got to come in for the trial date. So you could be sitting in jail for God knows how long. Now, where are we up to? 42. We are going to 50, 12. Okay, so I think this is the prosecutor with her witness, and you can see she's losing her shit here. She's getting all emotional. She's being, I nearly said the W word there, but she's obviously losing her rag, and she's breaking up. She's showing character flaws, if you like. So the prosecutor.
Fuck you, all right?
Yeah, she just said.
Fuck you and fuck this shit.
Whoa, you know what I mean? So now she's got to rely on this woman in a court case. She's like, oh my God, I've got to rely on this crazy psycho bitch in the case to get this prosecution done. So it's kind of unnerved her in a way. So now she's in trial again.
Councilors, here's the
this is a hearing.
opinion on suppressing the lineup. Mr. Ringel, I'm denying your motion. Both the in-court and out-of-court IDs stand. Now, where's the defendant, Benny?
Judge, the defendant is in the building, but the elevator's on the fritz.
No, really? Well, councilors, we're ready for trial. Any last chance for a disposition now?
Judge, if we could dispose of it today, we'd go down a count to 2 to 4 as a one-time only offer.
So they're offering it's like a super deal. This is instead of getting 3 to 6, 2 to 4. So he could just fucking accept that and take it on the chin and go, and he wouldn't have to risk the full 15 to whatever the full charges if he's found guilty by the jury, even though by his word he's not done it. And the case isn't worth it. Case shouldn't even be going this far technically. But so this guy's looking at like, oh wow, what a deal! Everyone gets paid. It's like everyone gets paid. He goes to prison. The state makes money. Everyone makes money. Let's see what we can do with this.
I'm sorry. I see here Judge Molino has marked this 3 to 6, not to be reoffered. Get me, Molino.
Dialing now. Frank, this is Benny. We need Molino.
This is a good chat. So this is the judiciary talking within the judiciary. They don't want to step on anyone's toes. They're very honourable. They're just going to make sure everything's, their ship has always got to be smooth and courteous, and everyone's got to be a fraternity, if you like, a good brotherhood, a good fellowship, with everyone getting on well, not stepping on anyone's toes. So this judge is not going to step on another judge's toes, so he's getting on the phone to another judge, and predictably.
Yeah, Art, Irving Ratner here. I have this Jesse Williams case. You marked 3 to 6, not to be reoffered in front of me. The people have some problems now, and they're coming down to 2 to 4. I wanted to touch base. Is 2 to 4 okay with you?
Irving, frankly, I don't remember any Jesse Williams. If 2 to 4 sounds good to you, do it. If it doesn't, don't, okay?
Bingo. See, that probably happens all the time. I mean, he was saying he had 50 court cases in one day. So, you know, one guy from the next, how can you even keep on top of this kind of stuff? So, yeah, he's just confirming to the other judge, look, do what you like, mate. You're not gonna offend me in any way. So now he's got this brand new golden handshake deal. You know, this is the best deal ever. Hey man, if you just do 2 to 4, it's a one-time offer. You just take it right now. We can all go about our day. I can get on with my next case. You just spend a couple of years in prison and everyone's happy.
Listen, Mr. Ringo. Hey. Ratner's allowing the lineup. They're offering you...
Right, so that's an important point. He's allowing the motion to suppress, I think it was, the lineup. Presumably that means they don't want it entered as evidence for whatever reason. But that's why I said earlier on, the guy was very questionable about the lineup, and that's why I asked you to take note that I didn't think there was anything wrong with the lineup per se. Yes, it's a movie, but it wasn't like it was 4 white guys and this guy there, you know what I mean? They didn't actually emphasise that fact in the movie. It seemed like a perfectly reasonable lineup to me, and he got picked out from it. So from his point of view, in his head, he didn't believe the lineup was accurate enough for it to be valid. So they've run with that, and in the end, they've tried to raise it as an issue. The judge just said, poo-poo, it's fine, crack on. So that's probably the one hope he's had in prison all this time. So however long he's been in prison, he's like, yeah, that lineup was bullshit. And now, obviously, the judge has just suppressed it, so, you know, a little bit of hope that he had has gone. He's got to find something else to cling on to.
Deal. 2 to 4 today and today only. I told you I didn't do it, and I don't want to plead guilty. I'm not telling you to, but I got to explain the situation. 2 to 4 means you're eligible for parole in 24 months. Now, how much time do you have put in now?
I've been there 6 months.
Okay.
6 months. So he's been in prison 6 months, all this bullshit going on.
Okay. So you'd see the parole board in 18 months and maybe get a work release. That's the positive side. Here's the negative. If you go to trial and you blow the trial, you're looking at a lot more time.
I know what I'm looking at! I know what I'm looking at! Just bear with me, all right? Indulge me. Now, Radner is a tough judge. With your record and the injuries to the girl, 10 to 20 is very realistic.
See, he's still pursuing it, isn't he? He said that I believe you all the way at the beginning, but he's pursuing this. You must take the plea. What is the benefit? I have no idea what the benefit is to society. Presumably it's everyone gets paid and everyone gets on with their day. And it goes down as a record on his resume or something like that, or his CV. So, but, you know, this guy's obviously said since day one, I haven't done it. I'm still in prison. I haven't done it. I can't afford bail. And I've told you I haven't done it. And it's all based on one potentially crack-smoking girl's testimony or complaint that she didn't even have, you know, she was facing the other way. You'll see. So there's all kinds of things that just don't stack up. So it's he said, she said. Okay, she hasn't got a witness, and they're still keeping this guy in prison all this time. They're just trying to get him to, you know, break. Essentially, they're just trying to break him by keeping him in prison. Eventually, he'll at some point he'll break. You know, they just keep suggesting. It's power of suggestion. Suggest. You're in a cage. The only way out is if you listen to me. I'm your best buddy.
So we're talking 2001: A Space Odyssey before you hit the streets again. I want out of jail. Now, look at me. Look at me. Good. Because after 2 years go by and you still haven't hit the streets and you're looking at doing another rape because you blew the trial, you're going to think of my ugly face every single day. Why didn't I listen to Mr. Ringle? That's what you're going to think.
Yeah, that's quite cool. I wonder if anyone else is going to be thinking a similar kind of thing from behind the confines of a bar.
3. Okay. The difference between pleading guilty today or being found guilty by a jury is a difference between walking your kid to kindergarten or getting out in time to see him graduate from high school.
Do you get that? Do you get that, Jesse?
That's right. Put the fear of God into someone. Yeah, that's right. Great job, attorney. You're defending me? Who are you defending?
I'll take probation, man. I'll take probation. You would? Yeah, sure. If I don't have to go to jail, sure. How about if they offer time served? Yeah, I guess. Well, they ain't offering that. Right? That's not an option. You don't have that option because of your felony conviction. The options that you got are you plead guilty today, 2 to 4, we go to trial. Look, Jesse, I wasn't a 229 Kingman. I don't know what happened. You know if you did it or if you didn't. I don't know, all right? But if you did do it, you gotta take the plea. Be fooled.
Again, he's contradicting himself. He's believed him since day one. And now he's saying, but if you did do it, let's keep suggesting. Let's move on. You get the idea of that scene. So 5620. Let's go here. See what happens. So he's now, crap. He's having a battle with his own
Mr.
conscience.
Williams, by pleading guilty here today, you're giving up certain rights that you have under our system of law. You're giving up your right to a trial by jury. Do you understand that?
I do.
Now, if you had a trial, the people would call witnesses against you. You're giving up your right to cross-examine those witnesses. Do you understand that?
I do.
You're also giving up your right to call witnesses in your own behalf, to testify in your own behalf, or to remain silent should you choose to do so. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Williams, I indicated I would sentence you to 2 to 4 years in state prison. Is that your understanding of the promise?
Yes, it is. It is.
Now, Mr. Williams, tell me in your own words, what happened on November 11th, 1989 at 229 Kingman Street at 2 a.m.? Mr. Williams, did you understand my question? What happened at 229 Kingman Street on November 11th, 1989 at 2 a.m.?
How do I know? I wasn't there.
How do I know I wasn't there?
Jesse, if you want to take the plea, you gotta tell the judge now. It's now or never.
Oh, here I am playing devil's advocate again. Well, that was another lawyer movie, wasn't it? Right, it's going to be on your shoulder, whispering in your ear. Suggestion.
It's never. I ain't taking it, sir.
Now, why is she looking down? Oh, no, it's got to go to real trial. I've got to actually do my real job. Interesting little reactions.
Mr. Williams, in the interest of time, I was willing to go along with the DA's offer of 2 to 4. That offer is history now. But let me make one thing perfectly clear. I look on a crime as vicious as this as being worth a lot more than 2 to 4. Now, Mr. Williams, you will receive a fair trial, and I hope for your sake, sir, you are not convicted. Because if you are, you will face me on sentencing day, and that will not be pleasant. Counsels, be ready to start jury selection tomorrow.
Boom. That sounds like a threat. Or some sort of prejudice, isn't it? What's he? He's like expressing, I'm going to nail you, buddy, if you're found guilty. I suppose that's his prerogative. So 3, 20, 60, 56, 20, yeah, done that one. So now we're up to 1 hour. Oh, this is the jury picking, so this is good. So now, obviously, all this negotiation malarkey, they tried to break him. He's not been broken. So now they actually have to do their jobs and pick a load of jury people in. So we are going to 1 hour, apparently.
Trials are the culmination, the principle that an individual is not guilty of a crime until a jury of his peers examines the evidence and determines that guilt to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the burden of proof, and it rests with the people throughout the trial. Mr. Williams, please stand and face the prospective jurors. Now, this case involves charges that Mr. Williams allegedly robbed and assaulted Miss Denise Moore at 229 Kingman Street on the 11th of November, 1989. Mr. Williams, thank you. Please sit. Let's begin.
I'm a prosecutor, and as prosecutors, we don't pick our witnesses from central casting. They're not perfect. In this trial, ladies and gentlemen, you'll find that Denise Moore has been convicted of a number of misdemeanors. Do you believe, based on that fact alone, that she would be lying on the stand? How about you, Miss Gibson?
No.
You won't just throw out what she says?
No, I listen to what she has to say and take it from there.
As Miss Carter just told you, there'll be a witness, Denise Moore. And she'll be sitting in this chair under oath. And she will point at Mr. Williams and she will say, he did it. I'm positive. Now, would that be the end of the case for you? How about you, Mr. Hughes?
No, sir.
Right. It's up to you to determine whether she's accurate, mistaken, or lying.
How many of you have been victims of crime? So can we all agree that someone who's been convicted of, say, shoplifting or loitering could also be the victim of a crime, just like you, or me, or anyone else, right? Of course they could be. It's common sense.
You a baseball fan?
Oh, yes.
Which team do you follow?
The Yankees.
Did you ever make a bet with a friend? You know, like, who led the league in batting? You knew you were right. You were sure that it was Don Mattingly. You were absolutely positive that he won at 356. Make a bet like that?
Oh, sure.
Did you ever find out that it was Wade Boggs?
Yeah.
See, being positive didn't make you right, now did it?
But if I prove my case beyond a reasonable doubt, how will you vote?
Guilty.
How will you vote?
Guilty.
You?
Guilty.
Miss Carson, how will you vote?
Guilty.
So, if at the end of the case I deliver my summation and I give you 10 reasonable doubts which you can base a verdict of not guilty on, and Miss Carter gets up and she shoots down 9 of them, just disintegrates 9 of them, leaving you with 1 reasonable doubt. Now, how are you gonna vote?
Not guilty.
What do you mean, You understand that you don't have a choice, sir. Now, you all understand that, right?
Okay, Mr.
You don't have a choice because it's your duty. You don't want to be derelict in your duty now, do you? Okay, so that was 1 hour. Now moving on. 125. 22. So this is backroom dealing. Lawyers having lawyer chats with each other. I don't want to go through too much of the movie. Obviously, I want you to watch it yourself and enjoy it. Really? Am I all the way up there? Yeah, all the way back here now. 125, 22. So there are. I think this is after the trial, is it? I don't know. We'll find out. They're having a chat. You know, they're best buddies. This is very typical. In any courtroom you go to, the lawyers and solicitors, whenever the judge has risen and walked out of the room and they're just like sitting around, or the prisoner's gone back down to debate the prison cells, then, you know, the lawyers quite often, I haven't seen you in a while, how are you doing? Oh, I'm nice. You know, there's a lot of chumminess getting on with these people because they're all part of the, you know, they're all part of the same family, if you like, the same society. So, you know, sometimes it's funny when they don't get on. So that happens. But that tends to, I mean, the only time I've really seen that is with a lay legal advisor. She lost her crap once, really bad, which is like an associate member, not a full-blown lawyer. And that's probably why she's an associate member, because she's got some interesting quirks. But yeah, so here we are, in an alleyway, in a corridor, having a little chat about things.
I wonder where my good Citizen in the case is going to fall.
Carter's rule, innocent people don't take upstate time.
Maybe he did it, maybe he didn't, I don't know.
Ringo, the game's over. He cut a deal, and that's the truth of the matter.
That's your truth, Liz. We all cut a deal. If the case had gone before a jury, they may have spoken a different truth, right?
Right.
Truth, a different truth. Truth is very good, as we've just had in the previous scene, actually. I was going to mention it there, but it's been reiterated here, so I might as well mention it. Truth is subjective, okay? If you're looking at something from a particular angle, you see it from that angle. You know, like an optical illusion, yeah? Or like when someone does a magic trick, I could have sworn that guy just cut that lady in half. But no, he didn't, because the truth is he can't cut someone in half. It's a magic trick. It's an optical illusion. It's misdirection, yeah? So you may or may not be inadvertently in a bad position to see the truth with your eyes, but you swear blind that that was what you saw, but in actual fact it wasn't as you believed it. So that's the difference between the truth. So you would go into court and you would swear that was the truth. I swear that's exactly how it went down. That's how I saw it. Fantastic. Thank you for your time. But it wasn't true. And then someone else might come in and give a couple of other examples of what was happening. And it comes to like, okay, so it wasn't exactly like that. But it's not that you're lying. And it's not like you're trying to deceive. It's just that your belief and what you saw was not exactly the true. It was truth, but it wasn't the true. So that's because, as they always say, only God knows what's true, or whatever. The creator of the universe, whoever's in charge of this whole magic show, knows what's true. We're just passengers on the for a ride, if you like. So that was that bit. Let me just see if that's here. So he's having doubts now. He's expressing doubts. And
Anyway,
they're both like. Oh, anyway, yeah, enough of that morality.
I think you should leave the coming attractions to Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah, that's done that bit, right? Okay, and now, I think this is the 127.5. 127.5. So this is basically, it's quite a funny scene. Yeah, so I think the case is all done and dusted now.
Selling drugs? I look like I sell drugs? Damn sure ain't taking none. I asked him for a urine.
Okay, Raymond.
So he's back to the grind again, as if the was it Forrest Whitaker's character was just there on the other side of the wire again. It's like, oh, next case, let's crack on.
My name is David Ringle. I'm an attorney with legal aid, and I'm going to represent you.
I'm an attorney with legal aid, and I'm going to represent you. I'm going to represent you. Oh, are you now? And he's basically he's repeat, rinse and repeat. Watch the movie again. The exact same thing is going to happen over and over again. And the last little thing that this movie has, which is quite cute, is this. There's some sort of statistic that comes up at the end of the movie, which is quite interesting. So take it as you will. I mean, it's not been quoted or anything, but let's just pretend it's a legitimate statistic. Last year, over 300,000 criminal cases were disposed of in New York City. Criminal cases were disposed of. Disposed. Okay. 58% of the defendants pleaded guilty in plea bargains. So that's nearly 60% of people just plead out. Okay, and less than 2% had their guilt or innocent determined by a trial, an actual trial, where they do their song and a dance in front of a jury, and the facts of the evidence are actually scrutinised by a jury. Less than 2%. Insane. If these stats are right, I don't know, but it's funny, isn't it, that all these plea bargainings are they must be saving money. And at the same time making money, saving time and money, and at the same time making money by putting bums in prison cells and stuff like that, and being a cost to the people to provide this incarceration. So there we go. Now let's exit out of that, and then I'll come back to our lovely little da 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 da. This is exactly what this is. I mean, you got the web address up at the top left if you like. So a plea agreement. Yeah, United States of America versus this guy. And they've, should the judge refuse to accept the defendant's plea, this agreement shall become null and void, and neither party will be bound to it. Brilliant. Should the judge, defendant and his attorney acknowledge that no threats, promises, representations have been made, nor agreements reached, other than those set forth in this agreement, to cause the defendant to plead guilty. Yeah, okay. So there we go. And then the defendant acknowledges that he has read this agreement and carefully reviewed each provision with his attorney. Defendant further acknowledges this is real, yeah. This is someone's life on the line here, and this is why I love that movie. It's just so accurate. It's a wonder it ever got made. defendant further acknowledges that he understands and voluntarily accepts each and every term and condition in this agreement, because he's been in prison for, he's been under some sort of arrest since I don't know what he's been treated like in America, but I know exactly how he was treated over here in England. So, everyone has a breaking point, don't they? And when you get $28 million from a foreign currency exchange from spoofing or whatever you're doing on their systems, then they come and get you, and this is what happens.